Hello, and welcome to the video for SOC 2302 Social Problems class. In this video, you will learn about resources that the West Library has on social problems. My name is Dennis Miles, Reference and Instruction Librarian at the West Library at Texas Wesleyan University. My contact information is also on the screen. This is the table of contents for this video. It tells you the time frame in the video where you can access each topic listed in this table of contents so that you can go to just the part that you want to watch. This is page 2 of the table of contents. It lists the time frame in the video where you can access the content for each individual database covered in this video. This is the guide for this course. It contains all the links to all the databases mentioned in this video. You can scan the QR code with your phone to access this guide directly, or go to the library main webpage, click on Research Help, then click on Research Guides in the drop-down menu, and then on the Research Guides page, select the discipline of sociology. The library consists of two parts, the physical library and the online library. On the slide, you can see where the print resources are in the library. The online library contains resources that are not physically in the library, but online. The online library is quite large. It contains electronic books, newspapers, magazine, and journal articles that are found in databases. To find books in the library, you need to use the library catalog. The library catalog can be used to locate books by title, author, and by subject. It contains records for books physically in the library and ebooks. Where is the library catalog on the library webpage? You first select Resources, then click on the Library Catalog link in the drop-down menu. You click on the link, and then you are taken to the Library Catalog. Now we can type in our topic of social problems in the search box. In the results list are the books found. Let us select this book for our example. You can see here the title, the author, the date the book was published, and finally, the call number of the book. This call number is what you will need to use to find the book in the library. So now let's talk about how the books are arranged on the third floor. Our books are arranged by a classification system developed by the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. It is one of the largest libraries in the world. A long time ago, it devised this method of arranging books by subject called the Library of Congress classification system. This arrangement uses letters of the alphabet to designate different subjects so that books on the same subject will be found close to each other in the collection. Most books on social problems are found under the letter H in the Library of Congress classification system, which is the subject of social sciences. Social sciences is a broad subject. If we add a second letter to the letter H, we can find narrower subjects or subclasses where you can find some of the social problems. We now know how to find books. Now let me introduce a second kind of resource. This second kind of resource is called the periodical. The three types of periodicals are newspapers, magazines, and journals. Periodicals are publications that are continually publishing issues, unlike a book which is published once and done. Newspapers and magazines can contain articles that can be useful for research, but the main periodical for research in academia is the scholarly peer-reviewed journal. So what is a peer-reviewed journal anyway? Well, it is a journal where the articles are first reviewed by scholars, which are called peers, in the field that the journal is about before publication. This results in high-quality research articles that are excellent for research papers. You have been shown that the tool to use to find books is the library catalog. To find newspaper, magazine, and journal articles by subject, you need to use a different tool. This tool is called a periodical database. The library has a number of databases that contain resources on social problems. We will begin with databases that contain more legislative and government information, then go to news databases, then to some controversial topics databases, and then periodical databases, and finally, law reviews databases. The first one is called Civil Rights and Social Justice. Online's Civil Rights and Social Justice Database brings together a diverse offering of publications covering civil rights in the United States, such as scholarly articles, hearings and committee prints, legislative histories and landmark legislation, briefs from major Supreme Court cases, and publications from the Commission on Civil Rights. The next one is called Gun Regulation and Legislation in America. This database is similar in the types of resources that it has to the Civil Rights and Social Justice database that we just looked at. The third database in this category is called LGBTQ plus rights. It is also similar in the kinds of resources that it has to the first two databases. Now we are going to look at two news databases. The first one is called Access World News Research Collection, or Newsbank. Newsbank contains over 13,000 national, international, and local news sources. Let's do a search on homelessness so that you can see the results. As you can see in the results page, the database retrieved almost 2 million results. Let's scroll down the page to see the kinds of resources that we have in the results list. As you can see, we have many different kinds of resources in the results list, such as audio files, blogs, college newspapers, journals, magazines, newsletters, newspapers, news wires, broadcast transcripts, videos, and web pages. The second news database is called Black Life in America. It covers the experience and impact of African Americans as recorded by the news media. It covers from 1976 to the present. There are two controversial topics databases that are useful for social problems. The first one is Opposing Viewpoints. Opposing Viewpoints contains many controversial topics. Click on Browse Issues to see all the issues covered in Opposing Viewpoints. There are almost 500 different topics in this database. Let's select homelessness from the list of topics. When you go to the homelessness page, what you see is a brief overview first. Then as you scroll down, you see a list of many different kinds of resources, such as featured viewpoints, academic journals, viewpoints, primary sources, reference, infographics, images, videos, audio, news files, magazines, statistics, and finally, websites. Under Featured Viewpoints and Viewpoints is where you will find articles with opposing views on the topic. Opposing Viewpoints is useful to use because of the different viewpoints for each topic and the number of other resources available on each topic. The second controversial topics database is called CQ Researcher. CQ Researcher is a part of the CQ Press website. Click on CQ Researcher and you are taken to the CQ Researcher page. I can type in my topic, in this case homelessness, in the search box. As I do so, below the search box, I can see some reports on homelessness. I will select the first one. I can now see the report on homelessness. It's called Criminalization of Homelessness. I can scroll down to see the different parts of this report. At the bottom of this list, I can see where I can find additional information about the topic of this report. I can look at bibliography, the next step, contacts, and finally, notes to get a nice list of other resources for further information on this topic, which is extremely valuable for a researcher. Also, CQ researcher reports are unbiased. Now we are going to briefly look at 3 social problems periodical databases. The first one is called JSTOR. JSTOR offers journals, ebooks, and primary source collections, which spans many disciplines. Next is SocIndex. Our sociology database contains articles from journals and magazines, plus books and conference papers on all aspects of sociology. Finally, we have Exploring Race in Society, which contains books, journal, and magazine articles on topics related to race in society. Finally, we have 2 databases where you can do research on the legal aspects of many social problems. The first one, called Legal Collection, contains 250 law-reviewed journals that you can search by your topic. Second, we have Legal Track, which contains 1,200 law-reviewed journals. That's a lot of databases that we covered, isn't it? You probably now want to know where you can access these databases, right? Well, what is on the screen now is the instructions on how to get to these databases. You click on the Resources tab on the library main page, and then in the drop-down menu, you click on the second link, which is called Online Resources A to Z. Here are instructions for you to follow to get to the Social Problems Guide from the library webpage. This guide contains the links to all of the databases mentioned in this video, plus others that were not mentioned. This guide is a second way to access these databases, the first being accessed through the Resources tab on the library main page. Here is the QR code to some review questions on this video. Click on the QR code to see how much you remember. This is the end of this video. If you have any questions, the contact information for Dennis Miles is here.